Well, greetings, Cap fans, and welcome to episode 211 of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast. I'm Rick Verbanis. I'm your host. I've got a co-host. He's the best one out there. His name is Bob Lucius. Oh, Bob, there's a brand new dance, but I don't know its name, that people from bad homes do again and again. It's big and it's bland, full of tension and fear. They do it over there, but we don't do it here.
Is it a safety dance? I don't know what it is.
Ah, that's a good guess. That's a good guess. No, the next line would be fashion, turn to the left. Fashion, turn to
You're
the
right.
right.
I don't know that one.
Ooh, fashion. You don't know David Bowie's fashion?
I don't know that one. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh,
I got to
come
tell you, I don't know a
on.
lot of Bowie songs. I remember there was a time, China Girl and a couple of those that came out.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember that period a little bit. But
This
other
was
than
right
that,
before that.
was that?
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
right around that. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Just you shut your mouth.
Yeah, no,
I was talking,
fashion.
woo, hey, Dave, what's up with that? That just sounds very aggressive in that song. I don't know about that. China Girl.
Yeah. China Girl was a good song. It was a good album. Tony Thompson was on drums. Excellent drummer.
Yeah.
He was a studio drummer, performed with a lot of different bands. One of my favorite ones was Power Station. He did
Power Station.
with
Yeah.
Robert Palmer on lead
Robert Palmer.
vocals, and then
Yeah.
Andy and James Taylor from Duran
Mhm,
Duran, Tony
mhm,
Thompson on
mhm.
drums.
Now Duran Duran. Now that was a band I was into. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah. I
yeah,
had all their albums. Yeah.
yeah. Were you
Yeah.
hungry like a wolf?
I was hungry like a wolf, man.
Yeah.
I was.
All
Yeah.
right.
Wow. Good
Yeah.
stuff, man.
Yeah.
Songs made absolutely no sense. None.
No,
None.
no.
But good stuff. Good stuff.
Yeah. Yeah. They're still touring, believe it or not.
Are they
Duran
really?
Duran. Yeah.
Yeah. Man, if I could dig out my parachute pants,
Uh huh.
my skinny ties, my skinny satin ties, my parachute pants,
Yeah.
I'd go
If I could puff
catch a
up my
show.
hair, oh, never mind. Never mind. Yeah, that's not going to happen.
Hmm.
So Bob, we have not talked since a little Category 5 tropical kind of storm type of
Yeah.
thing went through your area.
Yeah.
And I mean, we've talked, but
Yeah. We talked.
we
Yeah.
haven't done the show since
Yeah.
then. But
Right. Yeah.
um, how'd everything work out for you? I mean, because
Y-
you're in the Central Florida. You're just on the southern outskirts of the path. How did you do?
Yeah. Actually, we did pretty well. It was windy and rainy and all that jazz. And I'm about I guess maybe 3 miles from the coast. So a little bit closer, those guys got hammered pretty good with the surge and the rain
Mm-hmm.
and flooding and stuff like that. But my house did pretty good. I had to go out and pick up a bunch of stuff. We were out of power for like I don't know 4 days, which always sucks.
Oh yeah, but
Uh,
you have a generator though,
we do.
right?
We have a generator that keeps the refrigerator running and toaster oven and stuff like that. So definitely could have been a heck of a lot worse. And I'm glad the new roof, made it through unscathed. But my in-laws who live on the other coast, what was strange about the storm that came through was that like the day before, it pushed all these thunderstorms ahead of it. And as they
Mm-hmm.
went across the state, they caused all these tornadoes. And it's like 100 tornadoes touched down on the east coast of Florida, where the hurricane didn't even go over there, but it had all these tornadoes, and it caused a lot of destruction. It like ripped the roof
Oh,
off a supermarket and destroyed a bunch of houses, and it was crazy. They had way more damage over there than we did over here. So
wow,
yeah, weather, huh?
that is that gives me an all new kind of pause on where I want to move in
Yeah,
a
it
few
should.
years.
It should.
Yeah,
It's a crapshoot for sure.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well, listen, I'm really glad to hear that you did okay, but there's a lot of people who didn't, and so we're going to continue the fundraiser that we're doing that is going 100% towards the American National Red Cross. There is a link in the podcast notes, and there continues to be that on our Facebook group and in our website. But if you go on there, and we've already surpassed our total that we were looking for. So we raised so far $1,280.
Nice.
By the time people listen to this, hopefully it'll be more than that. But and we've had some very generous donors. And one of the things that we're doing here to kind of just motivate people is I'm giving out a prizes to the top three donors, and so I have a stack of Captain America comics, including several number ones, some what would Cap do challenge coins and stickers, and also a Cap Funko Pop I'm giving away too. So
Nice.
just something to if you were going to donate anyway, hey, you might as well donate through us. But if you weren't going to donate, every little bit counts, right?
Mm-hmm.
These are our neighbors, these are our friends, in the United States that are going through a really tough time. And this is not just Florida, right? This is Georgia, this is South Carolina, North Carolina,
Yeah,
from
all over the place.
Helene,
Tennessee, yeah,
yeah,
everywhere. Yeah.
and just what would Cap do, right?
Yep. Awesome.
All right. Bob, I think, you know what? I'm really excited about tonight's show. We're going to have a guest on. He is been a super soldier patron for quite some time, and it's about time we have him on the show.
Mm-hmm.
I had the opportunity to meet him in person, and now we're going to bring him on the show. His name is Nate Charles. Nate, welcome to the show.
Pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. It's funny because a lot of stuff I see is yours, Nathan. But do you like Nathan or do you like Nate?
I prefer Nate, honestly.
Mm-hmm.
Uh,
Yeah. Do you feel
yeah,
like you're in trouble when you hear Nathan?
I do. There's really only like three people in my life that I let call Nathan on a regular basis. Uh, One of them's my mom, who rarely does it anymore. My grandmother was another, and she did that all the time. And then there was one ex-girlfriend, and that was always when I was in trouble. So
Ah, yes.
You
Yes.
know what? That is ringing a bell. I got to
Uh-huh.
tell you. So I'm a Richard, but I've been Rick since the first day of high school, which is a long time ago. And the only people who call me Richard are my mom, maybe my some aunts or uncles, and then my ex-wife when she's trying to get under my skin.
Nice.
And that's it.
Well, guess what I am? I am. I started going by Bob when I went to high school, but prior to that, I was Rob for a while, and before that, I was Robbie. So my siblings still refer to me as those either of those two names, depending on how aggravated they want to make me. But yeah, if I go
Aren't
home,
siblings good for that?
yeah, they are. They're perfect for that. Yeah, they're custom made. So I go by that when I'm home, but no one else calls me that.
Uh, Nate, and the other thing too, interesting about your name, right, is that you have two first names.
I mean, technically I have three, but I'll never tell the other one.
Oh, the
So
middle name. Oh, all right. We'll have to see if we can work it out of them. Yeah. So that's always fun. I'm sure in school you got a lot of Charles on the roll call.
yeah, Charles or Chuck. I got Chuck a couple times.
Oh yeah, nice.
That's always good. Yeah, so Nate has been a super soldier patron, which we really appreciate since March of 2023, and it's about time we have you on the show. We do this little thing we call I like to call nightcap, and that's when we have our super soldiers on to kind of talk about a little bit about them and how they got into Captain America, but also, and this is the exciting fun part for our listeners, they get to pick the topic, and Nate's got a great topic for today. Nate, why don't you tell everybody what it is?
So we will be discussing the top 10 Captain America uniforms tonight. Now, this is my top 10 list. I'm not going to put the responsibility for this on you and Bob.
Oh,
Uh,
we'll debate you. Don't
oh
worry.
yeah, yeah. So two things. I got two questions. One is, what's the difference between a costume and a uniform? Is this a matter of semantics? And the second thing is, are you going to do this in Crossbones voice?
Oh man. So the first one. So the first one I would say it's definitely a question of semantics. I mean, Captain America is a soldier, uh,
Mhm.
superhero or soldier, however you'll take it. But I mean, he started as technically a soldier in World War II. So I went with the uniform to describe what we're doing tonight.
All right. All right.
Um,
I'll accept that.
Secondly, as much as I would love to do this in Crossbones voice, um, consistently for however long this is going to take, it's really hard to get down in there and squeeze your
Nice.
vocal cords like that on a regular basis.
That's good. I'm glad to hear that, because I was a little bit concerned that if you did it in the Crossbone voice, I would pee myself a little bit, because you were legendary in the community theater. So
Absolutely. Episode 200 for
I
those who
feel bad.
haven't.
I should really reach out to Ash Barnes and apologize for any psychological stress I put on. Most of that was just me kidnapping and torturing her. So
Yeah. Yeah. No, it was great. Everybody check out episode 200 if you haven't. That was our, gosh, what we have 14 different voices, right? Doing, I don't know how many different characters, but we were covering Captain America 400 and 401. And it was great. It was our community theater. And so Nate was awesome as Crossbones.
thank you.
Uh, okay. So let's, so I mentioned before, you and I actually met in person. It was at the Baltimore Comic Con not too long ago,
Yes,
maybe
we
about
did.
a month ago, if that. And it was nice meeting you in person. A few of the other listeners of the show, we also got a chance to meet. And you were wearing, what were you wearing? Why don't you tell everybody? And I'm going to post a picture of this for those watching.
So I that was my breaking out my second Captain America cosplay that I've ever done. Because now I've gotten deep into the cosplay world. Well, I guess not necessarily deep. I've got a few costumes I like to break out on the regular. But yeah, that was my first time breaking out that with actual scale mail up top, uh, which was a fun 30 pounds to look around for a good 10 hours.
oh my.
Yeah,
But
yeah, and not to mention that shield too.
yeah,
Uh,
the shield was the lightest part of the suit, if you'd believe that.
well, it is made out of antimonium, so I think it's so yes, I said antimonium.
We'll be fine as long as we don't start talking about antimadium monsters.
uh, uh, so all right, you did say that you like to wear cosplay on the regular, I think is what you said. What does that mean? Like you dress up at home?
I
You
know
go to
I
the
don't dress
grocery
up at home,
store?
but
Like what does on the regular mean?
on the regular is generally when I go to conventions or shows. That's when I do so. I got into the hobby thanks to said ex-girlfriend who called me by my full Christian name whenever she was mad. Uh, but yeah, so I started doing that, and then local comic book shop owner who I've known since I was 15, so over 20 years now. Uh, he promotes shows around the area, and he ended up putting me in charge of organizing all the cosplay competitions and whatnot. And since then, I've kind of stepped up to a assistant promoter position, but that's still totally under my purview. So I decided if he was going to put me in charge of this, I was going to kind of just jump in with both feet and, uh, you know, dress up as the characters I wanted to dress up as.
or swashbuckler boots, as the case may be.
That is very true. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which I do have a pair of those. They're actually kind of like a hybrid swashbuckler combat boot. It's kind of neat. I like it. Really fits Captain America.
So where tell us a little bit about you. Tell us where do you live and what do you do for a living besides dress up?
Okay, well I'm currently in Bloomsburg, Pennsylvania, by way of Williamsport, Pennsylvania, which if you're familiar with the Little League World Series, being held in South Williamsport every year. But yeah, I've lived in Bloomsburg for the majority of the past, oh God, 20 years. And it has the distinction of being the only town in the Commonwealth, which, for whatever much that's worth. Some days it's worth more
Tourist
than.
attraction.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Yeah.
You can come stand next to the fountain, take some pictures, enjoy the park, and then drive somewhere else to find something to do. It's great. But
Go to lunch.
exactly. For a living, I mean, I've right now I currently work at a distribution center, so I pick things up, I put things down. That's my life. Uh, I also use that 12 hours a day, 3 days a week to listen to the podcast. Since you guys were helping me get through the workday, that's why I went for the whole Super Soldier tier. I figured I could, at least give you part of my paycheck for it.
That's awesome.
Well, we appreciate it. It goes to fun things like prizes that we give away for our upcoming fundraiser. So I will say, if you are in the middle, all right, this is an important question, right? Because we have listeners all over the country, all over the world, and people kind of know I fancy a particular football team, right? So you're in the middle. It's the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's the Philadelphia Eagles. No pressure. Which team do you root for?
When I do root for a team, it's usually the Eagles at this point.
All right, all right. I'll
Way
take
back
it.
when I was a Steelers guy, I've gone more towards the Eagles side as of late. But if I'm being honest, when it comes to sports, I'm probably more in Bob's camp of, not really following. But when I do, it's the Eagles.
Okay, and you know that they score when they go in the end zone, they score a.
Home run.
Yeah, exactly. You are in Bob's camp. All right.
I just ordered a new T-shirt to wear to my son's games, and it just says "I'm here for the snacks." So that's what whenever I go, especially if it's an away game, the first thing I do is like, where's the concession stand?
Yep.
Yeah, I'm scoping that out. Yeah, I got to get there before everything settles down. And I'm one of those guys. My wife always says, can you get me a bottle of water?" And I'm like, "Okay, I'll go get it right now." She's like, you can wait till halftime." And I'm like, "I'm not going at halftime. That's when everyone goes. I got to go now." But you'll miss part of the game. And I'm like, "I'm going now." They could be out of nachos by the time if I wait till halftime.
That's true.
Gotta have your priorities.
Yeah.
The other thing too he likes to do is just awkwardly stare at the cheerleaders and wave at
them. Have you heard that story, Nate?
I did. I just heard that on the episode I listened to here on Wednesday. Yeah.
My wife, she's like, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "What?" Yeah, and it didn't occur to me like how other people might observe me, looking past the cheerleader at my adorable manly son out on the field, and not 14, 15-year-old cheerleaders.
All right. Well, let's what, I want to get into the top 10 list. And so for our listeners, Nate did not run this by us at all. He did not give us here's the order of 10 to 1. We kind of have an idea of what some of the ones that are going to be in the top 10, but we don't know how he's ranked them. And so we're going to be listen, we're like you. We don't know where this is going to go. But we do know that we have faith in him because he is a cosplayer. So it's just hopefully. I think I know what the top 3 should be. I don't know. Should we take bets? Bob, you have any thoughts on what the top 3 are going to be?
Well, I mean, it has to be the golden age cap has to be in the top 3. I mean
dude, no way.
It's a classic.
No, classic doesn't mean it's.
Well, I think
top
it's
3.
Well, I do think there's a certain sentimentality for it that it's Jack Kirby and Joe Simon's design. I think people just gravitate toward that. It's just as a sense of sentimentality. It's got to be in the top 3.
You think so?
Yeah, I think if you ask people, if they want what Captain America comic they want, if they could have, and I don't think it's just about the value. I think people want Captain America comics #1.
If I could have any comic just to read, it wouldn't be that.
Well, no, probably not.
It would be for the value.
Perhaps, yeah.
Yeah.
But I think, a lot of folks would just want it because it's the #1, the historical, sentimental aspect.
Do you know how many Captain America #1s have been?
Not everybody's, money grubbing like you, Rick. People sometimes they just want the historical, nostalgic value.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, considering a good portion of the Captain America comics were made before Nate was born, I think they all have historic nostalgic value.
Well, true.
I'm not sure how true that is anymore.
Yeah.
That's a
Yeah.
good point. Yeah, you're right.
I was
Yeah.
full disclosure, I'm dating myself here, but I was born in 85. So yeah, I mean,
Well,
you
it's
think about
20 years before, and then not to mention the 15 years before that. So that's
consistent
35
publication
years.
though. I mean, you got switched
Mm,
over to what
You're
Captain
probably
America
right in the
Year
middle.
10.
You're probably right in the
And
middle.
all those parallel titles,
Yeah.
so one
Hmm.
shots.
I don't know if we can count the Avengers here since we don't count them in drafts either. So
That's true.
Mm.
But there has been more Captain America number ones since you've been born.
this is true. Got mixed feelings on that, but yeah.
Yeah, we'll probably due for another one. Did you guys hear? JMS is leaving.
Issue 16 is his last one.
Yeah. So it'll be interesting to see where the next goes. I know there's going to be a Sam Wilson series coming out in January, I want to say, and I think Greg Pak is one of the writers. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what they do for Steve Rogers.
He's got some tricks up his sleeve though. I think might be in his wind down of the series that I think might be interesting. And I'm always interested. Bring somebody new on. I'm ready. I'm ready. I don't need a. I don't need a 100 issue run. I let somebody have a shot at it. I'm all for that. New artists, new writers, new inkers. Give me it all.
Nate, where do you stand on the rebooting to the new number one?
I understand the philosophy behind it, the reasoning of wanting to bring in new readers and giving them a new solid jumping on point. I'm also one of those guys who, likes to keep track of legacy numbering, even though my current project is I'm collecting all of Cap Volume 1, and I think it's starting with Strained, or no, I'm sorry, Tales of Suspense 58, I want to say,
Yes.
the Iron Man
Mhm.
team up. So, but I understand, longevity like that doesn't necessarily work towards bringing on new readers if you think they're going to be scared of something. But then again, most of the news we get right now through either previews or, whatever news site you're following for your comics, chances are if there's a jumping on point, they're marketing it as that. I mean,
Mhm.
to hop across the aisle, DC just did their all in stuff and they've got jumping on points and they're not necessarily renumbering all their series for that. So it can go either way, really.
I hear you.
All
Yeah, I
right.
think there's two sides of the story. Part of me, I definitely follow the legacy numbering, so part of me wants to see that continue. So, yeah, I agree with Bob. It'd be interesting to see new creative team come on and where they're going to take it and what they're going to be.
Hmm.
All right, number 10. What are we
Okay.
doing here, Nate? You run the show.
All right. So number 10, I'm going with the Nomad costume as
Ooh.
drawn by Sal Buscema from Captain America Volume 1, number 180 in 1974. So we're talking about the navy blue bodysuit with the exposed blonde hair and the yellow cape and the plunging neckline.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so that's my number 10, which might be a little controversial because you might be able to say it's not a Captain America suit per se, but it's very significant to Steve's arc. And I, for all the issues that Roscoe was Captain America in there, you still had Steve as the main character. So I'm putting it at my number 10 slot.
It's interesting you've gone with the cape as opposed to post trip nomad costume.
Yeah, I mean, initially he has the cape for all of
Mhm.
3 pages, but
Right.
it's very striking, and it really kind of represents how far he's trying to separate himself from his identity as Captain America. I mean,
Yeah.
historically, it's representing his political disillusionment with the United States, as you guys have been getting into with going through your Secret Empire read through right now.
Mhm.
Um, and that political disillusionment and the whole storyline it comes out with, it totally comes out of the fallout from the Vietnam War and the Watergate scandal. So most Americans were feeling the way that Steve was feeling at the time that he adopted that suit and his whole internal conflict with the political establishment. Um, I
I
just feel like it's so different enough that it completely separates him from his previous patriotic symbolism and really emphasizes that shift to being a man driven by personal conviction as opposed to being a symbol of nationalism, as he could have been argued to have been before that storyline, even though he was kind of veering away from that ever since Lee and Kirby brought him back in Avengers 4.
I think it's a great choice, Nate. I mean, it's a fan favorite, right? I mean, I think people were excited when the Funko Pop came out of Steve Rogers Nomad.
I was just looking at my Funko Pop.
Yeah, I mean, people love that. They were really excited about that. So I got to ask you, all the cosplay, have you ever seen anybody cosplay as Nomad?
I haven't actually, and I would not either.
Really? You wouldn't? I think that would be a cool, especially with the plunging,
Yeah.
Is that why you don't want to wear? Because that's why I wouldn't wear it.
I don't want to deal with.
No one needs to see this.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I felt, looking back on pictures, people told me that I looked good as Captain America. I picked out some physical flaws that I'm currently working on. The Nomad suit's a good couple years down the line if I decide to do.
All right, that's fair. That's fair. I got to tell you, I didn't say it earlier, Nate. I love the cosplay. You do a great job. I admire people who do that, and I actually follow some of the cosplay groups, the Captain America cosplay groups on Facebook, and it blows my mind, like the work that people do to try to bring that to life. And part of me is like, man, I'd love to do that, and because I just think it's so cool. I think I'd have a hard time pulling it off now. But the one thing that bugs me is the salutes. That's the one thing when I see like photos in the cosplay groups and Rick knows I'm a real stickler for military salutes. And so, yeah, exactly. So that's
do the little Benny Hill.
So I feel like I
gotta be a real one, Bob, because I don't want to make going forward. That's what I try to do.
It's touch the temple right by the eyebrow. Your hand straight. Look, turn a little bit so you can't see the palm. Not this much, but just enough that you can't see the palm. My
wrist doesn't necessarily operate the way that I think that should, but
it's just practice. Anyway, folks who do it, I admire you for doing it. I think it brings a lot of fun to attendees to see folks dress up and old, young, whatever. So go for it, man. If you're going to do Nomad, I want to see it.
Well, thank you. And I actually need to thank you, Bob, because that cosplay would not have come together without you. Because before you posted about it in the group, I wasn't aware of Jordan's iconic armory, and that's commissioned out for that cow, and it ended up being beautiful work.
So. Yeah, he does good work.
All right, number 9.
All right, so number 9, I'm actually going with Sam Wilson as Captain America from Captain America Volume 7, number 25 in 2014. As drawn by Carlos Pacheco with Stuart Amon. What I like about this suit is how it takes elements from the Falcon persona and it merges them with the classic Captain America colors and symbolism. You've got the blue body armor and you got the red and white stripes, but it's coupled with those signature wings because obviously Sam's going to be going into aerial combat. It really does maintain that kind of core central star design on the chest. But the neat thing that I like about it that kind of makes it Sam's own is how it's encircled in that white that breaks into horizontal bars that also evoke Sam's wings. And it really does a good job of, representing Steve's legacy while also, giving Sam some independence as a hero himself while doing the role.
That's good. I got to say, now that you bring it to my attention, I don't think I have paid close enough attention to the evolution of Sam's Captain America suit from the time it was introduced in number 25 through the subsequent iterations through the different volumes that he's appeared in with different artists. And I think there's probably been some modifications along the way, maybe some of it influenced by the cinematic universe version of the suit, but I haven't really even thought about it. I got to check that out because you've really piqued my interest now.
I mean, especially with the original design of it, I'm going to be honest with you. I think that, and I could be wrong on this myself, but I think when they do tweak Sam's design as Captain America, it's more along the lines of adding just little more detailed lines and seams to it, which seems to be something that that artists really like to do these days. I'm a firm believer, and I really tried to emphasize this with the list, that the best superhero costumes are costumes that any pre-adolescent kid can sit down and just draw.
Yeah.
It's
simplicity. Yeah.
Yes. Simplicity is key in these things. It gets the point across. And when you get into certain suits of Captain America's, especially post 2010, you kind of
With all that
separate yourself.
chainmail, yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
not all that chainmail.
I mean, come
The
on,
chainmail you
drawing
could.
the individual chainmail links. I mean, like that.
A lot of extra work
That's
for
not
everybody.
keeping it
Yeah.
simple. That's
That's,
really detailed. Yeah.
I do agree, but also okay. So from personal experience, when I was a kid and I would doodle Captain America, I'd do like a little like maybe couple squiggle lines across the chest to represent that because I mean you still did have that pre 2010, but when you look at say Volume 7 after Dimension Z, where they got into that more armored look that was also kind of inspired by the MCU, that was entirely too complicated. So that's one of the reasons why, spoiler alert, it's not on this list. But also, I just simplicity is key when it comes to this, and they did a good job, at least with Sam's suit, of taking the simple elements from Captain America and working it in to some of the simpler elements with the Falcon. Granted, there were some shoulder pads on there, which I don't think necessarily keyed their way into that entire line of thinking, but overall, I think they did a great job with it.
Are we going to see you in a Sam Wilson cap suit in the future?
I don't think you will. Uh,
No.
yeah, just because I feel like there's as I love Sam Wilson as a character, and if there is a character that I would love to cosplay that I just feel like I can't, it's Falcon because I feel like I would just get all kinds of heat on it from certain corners of the internet. Just that's that's
And
really
there's a
really
lot of
what that comes
there's a
down to.
lot of working out involved in pulling off a Sam Wilson Falcon. You're talking about the post Captain America or his Falcon? I mean, because it's
I mean, either or would be
yeah,
great,
he's
but
got some.
in today's society where people have hard conversations about things like cultural
Yeah,
appropriation and whatnot, I don't feel like it's my place to
sure.
cosplay
Yeah.
Sam Wilson.
Now, do you feel that that maybe speaking of cosplay, I think there's a lot of folks who cosplay and they do tend to go toward the Marvel Universe version, and I think and for many cases, just my observations, it's easier to pull that off because there's a lot of padding involved in in the faux armor sort of things as opposed to the traditional cap uniform, which it's tough to pull off if you're not physically prepared for that. You don't have a certain body type.
That is very true. And
Yeah.
part of the thing that I'm actually coming out of Baltimore, like I said, people compliment my cap suit, and I really appreciate that. I looked at it and I took away some thoughts on myself and my physicality and some flaws that I was picking out to me. So, I'm also trying to use this as an opportunity to better myself, physically and whatnot to
Well, you look great to
better
me. I
represent
don't
the
take that
character.
the wrong way. I'm not hitting on you, Nate, but you look great in the costume to me. So I thought you
Thank
pulled it
you.
off well. So we always see flaws in ourselves, but you look great.
Well, thanks. I appreciate that
Yeah,
thought.
you should have seen it in person, Bob. It was quite
Was
impressive.
it impressive? Yeah.
Yeah, it really was. And we know people saw Nate as Captain America, and then they saw me next to him. They were like, "Oh, that's the pre-serum Steve."
Yeah. It was like Dr. Mind Bubble.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I wouldn't go there.
Get a little hat.
All right, number 8. What do we got going on here, Nate?
So number 8, taking a step out of the 616 universe right now, and we are going to go with Ultimate Captain America, circa 2001, from Ultimates #1 in 2002, as designed by Brian Hitch. So that's the more after he's out of the ice, the more tactical, militarized version of Cap's uniform. A little more grounded and realistic, a little more muted tones. No swashbuckler boots this time, but with the
More
combat
pouches.
boots.
Yeah, more pouches for sure.
Yeah, definitely. I was just about to get to it. Pouches on the belt, pouches on the gloves.
Yeah.
I mean, this was definitely Captain America redesigned for a post 9/11 world.
Yeah.
Kind of reflected a growing fascination with military realism and darker storytelling in general. Also, I kind of feel like it mirrored, America's engagement in global conflicts and its emphasis on national security just by making Cap it really melded that soldier and superhero vibe together. And I mean, the character in general at that point was representing a world where kind of the lines between good and evil had become increasingly blurred. So yeah, as a hardened leader in a darker, more morally complex world, it really emphasized the practicality that he was needed in that role, aligned with that role, which is being a soldier in a more violent era. So might not be as vibrant, but it's definitely more grounded, and it resonated with the audiences of the time.
Yeah. So let me ask you, I got to ask you a personal question. Don't, just take all the time you need.
Okay.
Are you a pouch person or a non-pouch person?
So I think my answer on this kind of changed. Actually, once I started building this Captain America suit that I wore at Baltimore, because I was going for comic accuracy. I wanted to get all the details down, and then it came down to
Where are my
I don't have
keys?
any pockets.
Yeah.
So my suit has pouches on it because I want to carry things like my cash and my IDs
Right.
and
Yeah.
my cell phone.
Right. Yeah.
So I think I've been swayed by practicality.
There you go.
Yeah, to the pouch argument.
I will say, on getting back to Ultimate Cap, nice selection. I was not a huge fan. I don't know if you know this about me. I don't like the chin strap.
I also don't like the chin strap, but the thing is, he doesn't necessarily have that in the suit I'm talking about. I'll hold up a visual example here.
Because I mean, when I see Ultimate Cap, for the most part, I mean, maybe not in that original early stuff, but he in subsequent had a lot of chin straps. I don't know, maybe it was the Ron Garney doing Ultimate Cap or whatever. But yeah, let's see which image are you
So,
referring to?
so I'm a huge figure collector as well. So I've got that guy hanging around here.
All right.
And yeah, no chin strap. I also forgot to mention on a couple of these designs they started putting the stars on the shoulder, which is an interesting choice to me because I feel like they were doing it to kind of emphasize, like in the military where they'll put ranks and whatnot on your arms.
Unit patches. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. I think they were trying to emphasize that, but it's not like those were like captain's bars or anything. They're just stars or Avengers symbols for whatever reason.
Yeah. Well, in the army at least, they would have a flag on one side, and you would have the unit patch on the other, not on your necessarily on your day-to-day uniform, but on your camouflage. In the Marines, we call it camouflage utilities. In the Army, battle dress utilities, right? Battle dress uniform. So it does mimic that. That's a good catch. A lot of folks probably didn't realize that that's probably the origin of those patches on the side of his shoulders.
And just a little quick plug here. If anybody wants to hear from the man himself who designed the uniform, Brian Hitch, we did have him on episode 186, and he did talk about what the thought process that went in behind designing Ultimate Captain America, because he wanted it to be different, right? So he wanted to be representative of the time. So that was a good interview, episode 186.
I do think, Rick, you mentioned the chin strap. And I get you. I'm not a big fan of the chin strap.
Can I add? Because there's one other thing about it that I don't like. I guess I don't like anything under the chin. Like, even if it doesn't have a chin strap, but the costume goes up the neck all the way to the chin.
Yeah.
Like, I don't like that. Like, I don't like a Michael Keaton Batman, kind of thing.
Yeah,
right?
the cowl.
It goes all the way up to the chin. I don't like that either.
Yeah.
I like seeing the gullet. I don't know.
When he's drinking water.
Yeah.
Yeah. The thing with the chin strap, though, I think it goes along with the patches and as you mentioned with the pouches, this idea of military realism, because anybody who's been in the military knows when you're wearing your brain bucket, right? That chin strap is strapped, and I can't tell you how many times I walked around yelling at people, put your chin strap on, because the helmet is useless without the chin strap, right? Because it'll just get knocked right off your head. And so I haven't really, I never really paid that much attention to sort of the consistency of Cap's cowl in the Ultimate Caps, and whether it's meant to be sort of a hardened shell, with the chin strap that would necessarily keep it on his head. But yeah, now that's something else to look for that I hadn't considered before.
I also did not pay attention to the evolution of the cow because I checked out of that series after he started yelling, "What do you think this A on my head stands for, France?" I was done after that.
You're a big France fan, is that it? Yeah.
French
fries. Not that I'm a big France fan, but if you even read Captain America story, which obviously you do, but if you read Captain America stories where in the 616 he's talking about, his thoughts on the French people and whatnot, and how, they were people who never gave up during the war and whatnot. It doesn't
Yeah.
it doesn't reconcile.
Yeah.
It's a very
Yeah.
true statement.
Well, it's a reason, we have not yet. I mean, this is, over 200 episodes. We have not yet covered Ultimate Captain America on this podcast. And I think it's because Bob and I just aren't big fans of that Steve Rogers. You're right. He's a bit of a jerk. And, we'll get to him one
Yeah.
of these days. But I guess it's no surprise why he hasn't made it on the show yet.
Yeah. But the art's good.
Oh yeah, art's beautiful.
Art's definitely enjoyable. So,
all right, Nate, what are we going for number 7?
So for number 7, we are going to go with the Steve Rogers Super Soldier uniform.
yes,
Steve Rogers Super Soldier, number 1 in 2010, as drawn by Dale Eaglesham. That tactical blue and white suit with the sleek lines and all the practical elements to it. You still have that focal point on the chest with the star being the key symbol. Again, it's on his shoulders as well, as to I guess, again, to try and denote rank or pay homage to demoting rank without doing that. And then the traditional red accents are not on the stomach or in the gloves or anything, but they're actually relegated to being on the sides of his legs, which I thought was a cool change up at the very least. And it's kind of cool, this suit, just because I like getting into the historical significance of it, where America itself was kind of grappling with its role as a superpower at that time, and Steve as a character in that case was shifting away from being more of a nationalistic symbol towards being more of a character with a global perspective. And him being in charge of Shield, he needed a costume that spoke to that. Being a broader humanitarian ideal protector as opposed to just, a national symbol, which it's strange that I keep coming back to that, I admit, just because I know he hasn't seen himself as like a nationalistic symbol in 60 years. But when you initially look at the costume, that is definitely the vibe you get. But yeah, as far as a costume that needed to, show contemporary concerns about globalism and international, this suit was it.
It would have made my top 3. I will tell you right now. I think
this is a shock to me.
You have a way too low, Nate.
Wow. Oh, wow. If I could do cosplay of any costume, that would be the one because I feel like I could maybe pull that one off.
As the old man,
yes,
Rogers, right?
Exactly.
Is that the one? Okay,
that's the one. Yeah, and I feel like I could maybe I could pull that off if I dieted for a little bit and worked out. And I love the red stripes because it is evocative of the Marine Corps dress blue uniform, which has those red stripes, and we call them blood stripes on our uniforms. And so our dress blues have the red stripes. So they do remind me of that. But I absolutely love that uniform, and I love that miniseries as well. By the way, the Super Soldier miniseries, I thought that was top notch.
So I will tell you why I have it at number 7 specifically, is because, one, the brevity of it. It wasn't around terribly long. It's an excellent design. I'm not going to take anything about or anything away from that, but it also is kind of a distinct break from the traditional superhero aesthetics that you'd normally get with Captain America. Most of my stuff that ranks higher on the list has that familiar silhouette to it that you recognize with Captain America.
That's fair. That's fair. Hey, listen, it's your list.
Yeah.
We're just here to criticize it.
Yep.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll take criticism. I'll take feedback.
All right, number 6. What do we got going on here?
So number 6 is Bucky Barnes as Captain America, as it first debuted in Captain America Volume 5, number 34 in 2008, by Steve Epting, designed by Alex Ross, however. I like the darker blues, the blacks, the subdued red and white elements, and somehow, even though that blue is darker, it has more of a shine to it, which I think is a really cool element. You still have the additional tactical gear and pouches that were kind of becoming prevalent at the time. Still a focal point of the store on the chest. But what's cool about that is between the star and the blue and the red and white stripes, the way that they taper down, it evokes Steve's original shield, which I think is a cool touch, simply because that was the shield that was around when Bucky and Steve started their partnership way back in World War II. So I thought that was an awesome touch on that
Hmm.
costume. And it really does well at blending, elements of Captain America with Bucky's role as the Winter Soldier.
So would we see you in that costume? What do you think? Is that something you would do?
That is something that I could see myself doing. I do really like this costume. I think if especially all that slimming black, I think will fit me just fine. But uh, yeah, I could see myself doing this costume. It's cool. I'm not a big fan of Cap with guns, but if I was going to pick any suit that was Cap with guns, it would probably be this one.
The holster does give it away, I mean, it stands out when you see that uniform. You know it's the Bucky cap, and it has a real sort of spandex feel to it as well. And maybe it is because of the black that you mentioned that sort of gives it that body hugging sort of V shaped for Bucky. I had something I hadn't considered before, but it is a sharp uniform.
What I really like about it, and I had mentioned how that blue kind of shines, is because even though a lot of that costume is black, the shine on that blue, at least to me, represents redemption, which was a key
Mm,
part of that character at the
nice.
time. And I thought that that was just an excellent symbolism there.
Nice. I hadn't considered that. That's very insightful.
I could be wrong. That's my interpretation of it.
Hmm.
All right, so we're speeding through here. We're halfway through, and so we're gonna take a little halftime break here. And as I mentioned at the beginning of the show, this is nightcap. So we get to maybe talk a little bit about what are we drinking here, fellas?
Well, I'm currently on a kind of clean eating diet here, so this is a little bit of a getaway from me. But I've got some Jack Daniels and some Diet Coke here. Uh, you know, couldn't find any
And a
Johnny
Captain
Walker.
America tumbler though. That's
I
pretty
do,
cool.
yeah, yeah. It's pretty nice,
Yeah,
some Kirby, but
very nice. Very nice. Rick, what about you? What are you drinking?
It's no longer the summer, Bob. So I'm back to my
Hot toddy.
regular. So
Oh,
no, it's not hot
yeah.
toddy. I'm drinking my vodka with half cranberry, half seltzer.
Oh, nice,
Yes,
nice.
with lots of ice.
What's you said it's no longer summer, which
Uh
it
huh.
seems nonsensical to me. But to
That's true.
you,
You're in
what
Florida.
is
Yeah.
it like? What's the temperature outside where you're at?
It's weird. Yesterday, we're in that weird time of year where you might put on the the heat,
Uh huh.
in the morning, and then in the late afternoon you might put on the AC. So yesterday we had a high of 79. I think the high today was 60s, late 60s, high
Okay.
60s, I should
High
say.
60s. Yeah.
I think right now it's probably in the low 50s outside while we're
Okay.
recording this. So,
It's better
yeah,
weather.
yeah,
Yeah.
totally, totally.
Nice. And how about you, Nate? What's it like in Pennsylvania right now?
so right now I believe we are sitting at about 45 where I'm at.
Hey, hey.
Yeah, it
Okay.
was a little chilly today. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah. Well, we're expecting a cold front down here at the end of the week. It's supposed to get
Here
into
it
the
comes. Here it
high
comes.
60s. So we're all very, very excited about that. So it'll be high 60s down here, 70s, down near Key West that time. So it's yeah, I'm getting out the flannels, the thermal tees, the whole 9 yards. Breaking out the
Mm.
fire pit. Yeah, it's going to be great. So, anywho, I'm drinking a little Moxie tonight. So
Moxie. Now I remember you telling us about this. This is up from your hometown, right?
yeah, this
That
is up
area.
very very popular in Massachusetts where I grew up. Well, not anymore. This is one of the original sodas, tonics, pops that was produced starting in I think the late 1800s. And when I was young, my mom used to drink this, and it's a weird flavor. Uh, it's not made with the not like a cola. It's made with a gentang root, and so it is definitely an acquired taste. But like I said, my mom drank this, and I was up in Vermont recently and picked up a couple cans of this, and so I brought them back because I thought my family would enjoy them, and they've expressed no interest whatsoever. So Moxie, it is distinctively different.
Yeah. As soon as someone tells me it's an acquired taste, I lose interest as well.
If you like cough syrup, it's the drink for you.
there,
Yeah.
there you go. Cough syrup with extra fructose corn syrup. Yes.
All right. Now we're on the second half. Now I am thinking, and we got 5 left, Bob. Right? I think your golden age cap probably is in there somewhere. Right? We got the Avengers 460s cap, I'm assuming somewhere in there, right?
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, we're recording this on Indigenous American Day, right? So hold on. I think I have it here. Will we be seeing the the the
Yes.
the Captain America is an Indigenous American. That might, are we making a top 5 on this one? Maybe, I don't know.
Have we reviewed that one yet, Rick? I
No,
don't
we haven't.
remember. We
No, we
got
haven't.
to do that one.
I know.
That's a crazy story.
It is.
Yeah.
All right, we got you know what? The Captain. Ooh, the Captain's got to be in there, right? And hmm. Hmm, hmm, hmm. What about the Ron Garney one, where the do-rag one?
The Man Without a Country.
Yeah, that was
Yeah.
cool.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
Which ones am I missing, Bob?
Well, there's
You talking about the armor? The
yeah,
cap in the
Armored
armor?
Cap, right?
Armor cap?
Yeah, it could be that one.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, so many good ones.
All right. Well, let's get to
Yeah.
it. What's
Ooh,
number
how
5?
about Revolutionary War Cap? That was a good one too.
Yeah,
From the
true.
bicentennial battles. Yeah, that one's probably in the mix.
Well, I hate to disappoint you, Bob, but number 5 is the Ultimate World War II uniform from Ultimates #1 in 2002.
All right.
This one makes my list just because of being a bit of a history buff. I highly enjoy this suit. Designed by Brian Hitch. Definitely a grittier, more realistic approach to Captain America's World War II look. It features military gear like the fatigue pants, the combat boots, the flak jacket. You still have the iconic star, but it's more subtly integrated into the overall design, and it prioritized practical battlefield-ready elements over superhero flair for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What about that? What about the you got the helmet with the it's got like a leather sort of
He's got like leather goggles on.
Yeah, with like a nose guard or something, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So despite the fact that he still had that, he still had his shield, he was definitely still protecting his face a bit more than what you kind of see in the classic Cap uniform.
That's neat.
No, it's a more somber, realistic take on an American military uniform, and it's grounded in mid-20th century warfare aesthetics, which I just think is kind of cool. Definitely highlights more super soldier as opposed to, idealized patriotism superhero type deal. But it's another one of those suits that I think resonated with the post 9/11 audience, which had a more complicated relationship with heroism and warfare.
Well, and clearly it influenced Captain America, the first Avenger movie as well. Yeah. So
did it have the helmet that had the little lip in the back? Was that this one?
Yes, but they also had that in Captain America Reborn when Hitch was drawing flashbacks.
Yeah. I wasn't a fan of that helmet. I didn't like the little lip in the back.
Now you don't want the rain running down your back.
Yeah, but I'd rather look cool. It is better to, let me tell you, my friend. Let me tell you, my friend. It is better to look good than to feel good, if you know what I'm saying.
Speaking from experience in Baltimore, it's better to look cool than be cool. Very warm.
Oh, very good. That's a great costume, and I think as you can see from behind me, I sort of picked up in the last few years a statue collecting hobby, and one of the ones I'd love to have, which I don't have because I can't afford it, is the ultimate World War II Cap on the motorbike statue. I do have the Hasbro figure, but the actual statue is quite something to behold. So, yeah, definitely, I'm a fan of that uniform.
You don't have anywhere you could put it, Bob. I mean, look at all those behind you. Where would you fit something that big?
Oh, in the garage, Rick. Can I like we take a little detour for a second, little tangent. I'm in a pickle. So my wife wants to buy a new car, and we've been out looking, and it's an electric car,
Boogie
which
woogie
means
woogie.
I gotta install a charger in the garage. Okay, so that presents a problem for me because the garage is like chock-a-block full of shelving units with boxes. And so I have to clean out the garage. And what she doesn't realize is they're all my collectibles. She has like no idea what I've accumulated over the years, right? You think like this is like there's so much stuff that I can't display. And now I'm like between a rock and a hard place. So I got to figure out what's going to happen here. So
So you're now looking into storage units nearby.
I gotta like build an addition on the house or something. I don't know what I'm gonna do, but yeah, there's like I got extra shields out there. I got all kinds, So you got a
Build
problem.
yourself a collector's shed.
Yeah, well, it's too hot down here, man, for a collector's shed. It's hot and there's hurricanes and humidity. Yeah, so I've got this office that she has bequeathed me, but I'm outgrowing it. So it's going to be an issue here in the next few weeks. So, wish
You
me
need a
well.
taller bookshelf.
Yeah, I need taller bookshelves. I need more cabinets. Yeah. So for sure.
All right. Well, you're gonna have to let us know how that all works.
All right, I will.
All right, Nate, what do we got going on for number 4?
So number 4, one of your correct guesses from when you were trying to put this together over our break is The Captain from Captain America Volume 1, number 337 in 1987. It's drawn by Tom Morgan. The black, white, and red uniform, which features a black star on his chest and red accents on his gloves and boots, has a little bit of a streamlined utilitarian look. And the color palette itself kind of reflected Steve's internal struggle and his defiance against authority, much like the Nomad suit. But I like this one better. One, because it keeps that Captain America silhouette. And also, you got to think it's kind of a ballsy move to have a costume that looks so much like Captain America when you've straight up said, I'm not going to be Captain America anymore. Really emphasizes how he has that distrust in government at the moment and his complete disillusionment. It's almost a critique on institutional authority by Steve Rogers, which is nice because it paralleled, the growing skepticism of the era in America's political and governmental systems.
Nice. A definite thumb in the eye to the commission.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Good choice.
Yeah, I got to tell you, I love that costume, and it just, I'm so glad U.S. Agent ended up, using that to start, and it was like a really cool looking costume, it really was, and it was. I didn't realize how much I don't like the big A on his forehead until it was gone, and I was like, that's cool. And it's still got the wings, but
Yeah. They should really replace it with like an eagle.
Well, they did. Rob Liefeld did.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Script.
Wait a minute. There's still 3 to go.
Yeah, could be.
Oh, wait. Okay.
Let me put you. I'm gonna.
No.
No,
Keep the suspense.
no.
You got to keep the suspense going.
Okay.
No.
All right. But I do have a story about that.
All right. We'll cry our crocodile tears later if it doesn't show.
All right. What we got? Number 3.
Number 3 is the first appearance uniform from Captain America Comics number 1.
Yes.
1 by Joe Simon and Jack Kirby.
I was thinking you were going to go number 2 with that, but I approve number 3.
So, it's the winged helm with the uncovered neck, not the full cow covering the neck, the chainmail torso, the red, white, and blue color scheme, the large white star on the chest that serves as the focal point. It's unapologetically patriotic. He has the triangular heater shield, which, by the way, does anybody know why it's called a heater shield?
I have no idea.
I keep wanting to look that up, and then I'm like, I get distracted.
All right, cool. Well, I did because I got way too curious and figured you guys might call me out on it. So it's called a heater shield because it's in the shape of what they in the Victorian era used as a clothes iron. So that's why it's referred to as a heater. Yeah,
like a cast iron. It has that shape. Nice. I never knew that.
Did they call irons heaters back then?
They may have. That I did not see, but that is why it is called a heater shield. But the whole look with the chainmail and the heater shield kind of gives it a knight-like aesthetic, which I also really enjoy. Um, but yeah, I mean, as far as being a visual representation of American values such as courage, freedom, justice, against, being against the rising threat of the time of fascism, which I guess you could say is still happening today. It really served its purpose there. It was designed to be a morale booster and to inspire the American public and soldiers to believe in the cause of freedom. Its bold colors and its design were meant to project confidence and patriotism in a time of global uncertainty. The cover of Captain America Comics #1 itself is a powerful piece of propaganda, and the costume reinforced the message that America was, out there and ready to take on evil.
Couldn't say it better myself, Nate. Well said.
Yeah, it is a classic. It absolutely is a classic, and it deserves to be in the top three. I will definitely admit that, even though it may not be my favorite.
Well, it's the suit of which all other Captain America suits are born of. It has to be in the top three, in my opinion.
It's a valid
I
point.
I agree. Yep, very nice. All right, here we go. Number two. Hold
Num-
on now. Wait a minute. What are we down to, Bob? So it's the Rob Liefeld costume,
Yeah. And the exoskeleton.
the armor, the 1964 or 1962, whatever. I can't remember now. I always Avengers 4 um, version that's kind of been, and then well, could we separate the other versions that just like I don't know, the John Cassidy or the
Ooh.
Chris Bichello, which has got the heavy chainmail. Top of it is like heavy chainmail, then the rest is not.
Mm-hmm.
Those definitely have some artistic merits to it.
There's
Um,
the volume 5, like Marvel Now, which everyone loves.
yeah, but that's got that dip in the back, right?
Yeah,
Yeah,
it does.
yeah,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
got that. It's got the painted on wings, right? Doesn't it have painted on wings? I think.
yeah, yeah. It does.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. All right.
All
What's number
right.
two?
Only 2 spots left.
So, #2 is what I'm referring to as the modern Captain America uniform, which will say debuted in its full glory, Captain America Volume 5, #1 by Steve Epting. But you can say that it started coming together in Captain America Volume 4, #1 in 2002, by John Cassaday. Uh, so it's has a more detailed edge to the classic look with the emphasis on the chainmail. It's got the more subdued blue. You still got the white star on the chest. You got the red stripes, but they're more muted. It's more functional and combat ready with its materials because you have the things like the utility pouches on the belt to add to that tactical feel. And it's like they took what worked with the modern day Ultimate Captain America costume, but managed to work in more of the classic Captain America suit elements to kind of make almost the perfect beast out of it. Again, it debuted at a time that was kind of marked by global instability with the war on terror and increasing cynicism about American politics. You had a toned down color palette and the tactical modifications to reflect, again, post 9/11 America, where questions about security, patriotism, the balance between freedom and protection kind of led to a less bright and optimistic look on patriotism. So dampening down that color scheme, really works towards that idea, you know, because it has to embody not just the ideals of freedom, but also the realities of a world where warfare had kind of evolved and heroes needed to change.
Needed to change. Rick, what are your thoughts on that? Just even just referring to it as the modern Captain America costume.
Yeah, I could see that. In my mind, I never really separated it too much from, say, like the Avengers War version. Um, I mean, there has been versions over the last 60 years, right? That whether it's the multiple thin stripes or if it's the big fat stripes that are down. I like the big fat stripes a little bit better. Um, the and then there's the chainmail, but I never really considered it. I never really separated my head too much, but I totally see where Nate's going with this, and I can see the reasoning too. And so it's are we going to are we referring? You said 2005, right? So you're saying the Epting, but then you also said the Cassidy, and I think there's some subtle differences between the two.
There are. So it was Cassidy started with really defining the scale mail. part of the suit. So I felt like it deserved a bit of a mention there, that he kind of led the charge towards going with, going into that uniform a little bit more. Then Epting added, the pouches to the belt and whatnot. Kind of finished it off, as so to
Can
speak.
I might challenge that just a little. I would agree with you that Cassidy probably became more famous for it, but I don't think he started. I would say in volume 3 with Chris Pacello.
Okay.
Yeah, if you see that artwork, right, it is the chainmail is like really, really distinctive, and it looks heavy on him.
Chunky,
Yeah, yeah,
chunky chainmail.
yeah. He's got some really good ones there. But I hear you. I hear you. It's I think it's a good choice for number 2.
And I may be biased towards it as well, because I mean, it's technically the suit that I use. So
Yeah, it's a great suit, but I think you make an important distinction because, coming out of the Silver Age, Cap's suit didn't really change appreciably over the years. But I think really, yeah, well, I mean, let's not just setting aside volume 2 for a while, but certainly starting in volume 3, there is some the evolution of the uniform changes, yeah, in a much more rapid pace. With different artists, adding different things, taking away different things, and embellishing along the way. And eventually, there has to be some sort of standard, right? Otherwise, there's too many accoutrements and things that get added on and changes that get made. But I think that's a good, midpoint right there to identify what you've termed the modern age.
All right, so number 1 has to be Hydra Cap.
now, which Hydra cap though are we talking about? Are we talking about the green suit, or are we talking about the Steve Rogers Captain America number
The
1
Steve
suit?
Rogers Captain America. That's a badass suit.
It is. It
I
is.
liked that suit.
And
I liked the shield that came out, and he had the sharp edge when he pulled it out, but the suit itself, it's sharp.
I
But listen, I
really
don't want
like
to.
that suit. And honestly, if I had a number 11 spot, that would have been on there.
Huh.
Yeah.
Interesting. I do
All
like the
right.
green one.
You just like the big pouches on the
Pouches. I love pouches.
not the pouches. What are they called? The poofy part that's comes out on the not the
Oh,
calves, but the thighs.
the riding pants.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah,
You just like those.
I do like those. They do. Yeah. They're talking about slimming. Yeah.
All right, number 1.
All right. So number 1 from Captain America Volume 1, number 438. I've got the exoskeleton.
You do not.
What
do not.
better
You do
emphasizes
not.
a man out of time than a man who is literally out of time?
Oh
And
man, what a play!
He's desperate to keep going, so he goes into this suit that's obviously been designed by an alcoholic, and yeah,
All right. Well, it was great
played.
having you on the show. I'd love to say we'll have you back soon.
I'm sorry. No. It was number 1 is the classic Silver Age uniform from Avengers Volume 1, number 4 in 1964. It's drawn by Jack Kirby.
Yeah.
It's the quintessential Captain America look. You've got the vibrant red, white, and blue color scheme. You still got the chainmail armor, even though it's not as emphasized as on the modern suit. Because again, like I said, the best superhero suits are the ones that are easy for any kid to sit down and just draw. So not having that chainmail emphasized, it works towards that very well. It has the circular shield, the bold star on the chest, the winged helm, the swashbuckler suits. You get the sense of heroism and purity. And it was streamlined a little bit from the Golden Age costume, for, what was modern at the time of the 1960s. So, at the time, we're in the midst of the Cold War. America's global role was being questioned, and trust in the American government was starting to fray a bit. But, Cap's bright and patriotic colors served as a contrast to that, to give them a beacon of hope and idealism, represented an aspirational view of America, what it hoped to be, even in times of internal strife, especially in the face of Vietnam and, with the civil rights movement going on. So you needed that comforting and empowering image during a period of social upheaval that this costume provides. And really, what's more Steve Rogers than that?
Well played, Nate. You gave me a little bit of a heart attack there. I would have needed an exoskeleton to get around because my heart would have failed me if you had actually gone in that direction. So well played, and overall good list.
Well, thank you. There were some that I wanted to put on there that didn't.
Who's
The Man
honorable
Without a Country
mentions?
do-rag suit.
The do-rag suit.
Well,
Yeah.
the reason why that didn't make the cut, quite frankly, is because it could be anybody. Really, when you take away those elements of Captain America, more so, Nomad had some specific design elements that led itself towards Cap, particularly the swashbuckler boots, the yellow gauntlets, but with the exposed hair, you could kind of still see it as Steve Rogers. Um, it had an adventurer feel. This one, I mean, honestly, I could have opened up like a Joe Orlando pirate comic from back in the day
Zorro.
and seen a
Yeah.
character just like that.
Yeah.
Wandering around. That suit had so little character to it that it could have been literally anybody. The Heroes Reborn suit, as done by Rob Liefeld, I didn't particularly care for the eagle on the forehead, simply because to me it reminded me more of Nazi iconography than anything else, which directly goes against Captain America.
Yeah, you're not the first person I've heard say that. Yeah,
interesting, unsettling.
Also, I may have had some history with Rob Liefeld that would have kept it off this list anyway.
Well, interesting. Good selections all along, and I like your rationale for the ones that you excluded. I think well done on those.
Bob, who would have been your top three?
Well, definitely, I think the Golden Age Cap would have been Captain America one would have been my top one. And I think number two, I think for the Silver Age, for the many of the reasons that you mentioned, I think the fact that it stayed unchanged for the most part for so long gives you a sense of how quintessential Cap it is, right? That simplicity, the elegance, and the minimalist design, I think makes it a classic. And when people think about Cap, and I think a lot of people, if they could get away with dressing up like Silver Age Cap, they could pull that off. Man, we'd all want to do it, right? We'd all want to slap on the Silver Age Cap costume. So I think it's beloved. And so I think for the third, I love the Super Soldier, Rick, just because that's the only one I think I could pull off. And I love Commander Rogers, and I think it's got that nice shield look to it, but it just accentuates Steve Rogers' build, and I love it. So those are my three.
Real quick, Bob, you should do it. You should cosplay is for everyone, and it's about having fun. Yeah. And I think you should totally go for it. I think you'd pull it off marvelously.
Thank you. I might give that a shot. So, yeah. I'm going to do it on a podcast.
Heck yeah.
Yeah.
I couldn't help but notice Nate didn't really encourage me pulling it off.
Rick,
okay.
that was not to be an exclusionary comment.
No. I was just I gave a long pause. I was kind of giving you an opening there, Nate. That and Rick, you too. But I didn't even get that.
No, Rick, I think you could pull off any of this marvelously. I think any suit you want to do, you should do. I'm leaning towards Nomad, but either way.
Which I need to have that empty little. I got to show the six pack, right?
We should get one. Even if you're not comfortable doing that, we could get you one of those T-shirts that has like the faux six pack on it.
Yeah,
you could put that on. That'd be entertaining.
That would be awesome.
That's my sleep shirt.
Well, there you go. You're halfway there.
My top three, Bob. Thanks for asking. Would have been, I have two of the ones that you have. So my number two would have been Commander Rogers.
Okay.
And my number one would have been the 60s Cap. My number three, the Captain.
The Captain.
It's a solid suit.
Yeah.
All right.
I would have gone Captain, Commander Rogers, Silver Age.
Interesting.
Good top three.
Why, thank you.
Yeah.
All right. This has been a lot of fun, Nate. Thank you very much for putting this together. I know you worked hard on it and you had a lot of fun. I hope, because you're talking about a topic that is you're passionate about. And you know what? I got to say, you're gonna have to push yourself. We want to see another costume from this top 10 sometime in the near future.
Yep.
I mean, hey, you want to put up a poll in the Facebook group? We'll see what I come away with.
Oh, I love
Yeah,
that. Yeah.
yeah. You should. You know what? You should do that. Go.
Okay.
You post that in the Facebook group after this comes out, of course, and then we'll see what the people vote on.
All right. Sounds
Go
good.
to
Yeah.
the Captain America Comic Book Fans Facebook group to check that out. All right, Bob. Next episode, we are creeping up on. I don't know if you knew this, but this is an election year.
I've heard.
Yeah, and there is coming up on November 5th, right? Is the election. So this will be the last episode that comes out before then. So right, so this is going to be coming out on October 26th. So I thought for episode 212 we would cover Roger Stern, John Byrne, 1980, Captain America 250, Cap for President.
Nice. I know. I've been talking about that one for long. You keep saying, "Oh, we gotta wait. We gotta wait. We gotta wait till closer to the election," and so that's finally here. So very excited.
Yeah. So we'll do that one. Come back for that next episode. And always, we appreciate everybody rating and reviewing and subscribing wherever you listen. Please give us a thumbs up on YouTube. Get the word out, right? Like let more people know about the show and about cool things like Nate's top 10 list. And as always, we appreciate you listening to another episode of the Captain America Comic Book Fans Podcast.